What's up, everyone? It's Dusty. Welcome back to my headcanon. I've got Java Flips here. Kenobi happened, episode 5. What I want to ask you, Java, is what do you think about the fact that Anakin and Obi-Wan, during the flashbacks, looked like old men and still referring to each other as Padawans? Did you buy it?
I accept it. Maybe because it is a TV show versus a movie. I don't know.
I thought the dialogue was even hilarious. Like, I just watched So Uncivilized on YouTube. He did like a whole thing on like the wooden dialogue of George Lucas, which we're all like familiar with. But I had just gotten done watching that video, and I'm listening to Star Wars dialogue is so hilarious, and I think they nailed it. It feels like the prequels. He's like, what does he say? Anakin said something like, "No, I will defeat you." And and then I started cracking up.
It's like, okay, we're back to this.
Yeah.
I will say that I love Ewan McGregor as an actor, but there are times that I'm like, I feel like he's acting a little bit too much. Like his expressions and the way that he feels a scene throughout this season so far have been great. But sometimes I hear the lines and I'm like, it sounds like he's overacting kind of on purpose. And I wonder if that is at the direction of like, let's bring the George Lucas back into this. But I don't know. I mean, I love the acting. I think it's great, but that's kind of a vibe that I've thought about.
Yeah, he falls right. I feel like from the very first episode, and maybe that's something we could talk about. From the very first episode, seeing Ewan as Obi-Wan got me like emotional. Not like I wasn't sobbing on the floor, but it was. I did get chills. And I feel like he just fits right back into the character so well. So what do you think about I wasn't even going to do all this, but like, what do you think about the whole series so far? Because we want to talk about episode 5, but I haven't had a channel until 20 hours ago. So what do you think about episodes 1 through 4?
1 through 4 were great. I will say that similar to the first season of Mandalorian for me, episodes 1, 2, and 3 built up, right? Because episode 3 ends on the dragging of Obi-Wan through the fire.
It felt like a contained story.
Yeah, and then episode 4 was kind of like a no-risk situation. We know that all the characters involved are going to make it out just fine, except for the new character we were introduced to in episode 3, which is Tala, who protects them and gets them on that ship out there. Anyways, that's the negative. 1, 2, and 3 were great. I think that there's a lot of good talking points to be had if we were to be talking about each of those episodes. But I think that it was a great reintroduction to the character of Obi-Wan. I'm glad that we didn't stay on Tatooine for very long, because every Star Wars movie feels like it takes place on Tatooine or some sort of desert planet.
Every single new Star Wars entity, it's like they just circle around Tatooine, which is fine, but it does feel good. They're like introducing new planets and.
Yep. Yeah, what about you? What were your thoughts on the first few episodes up to 5?
I think like you, I was like really excited and kind of like more like somehow in 2 weeks we were already at like, or even in a week we like already reached the halfway point of the series, and it just felt like a whirlwind of emotions and excitement. And like I said, I feel like Ewan just like he just fits right back into the Star Wars universe. I feel like he's been imagining himself playing this for so long. And it was great. There's all these like cool little new canon nods where you see a blend of like the prequels with in an original trilogy setting, right? So you have that. It's so cool. You see the clones, but they're homeless, right?
Yeah.
Moments like that are really cool. I do think that there's a lot that they could still do, and we actually got that. We got those flashbacks. I thought there were so many moments of where they could do more with the flashbacks, and they didn't really do it until this episode. I'm still hoping for more. And apparently this, so I think it's been a lot of fun. And like you, episode 4 was a little bit of a, it just felt stale. I didn't mind it actually that bad, but the conversations online did sour me a little bit. It's tough to do that where it's like you enjoy something in the moment, and then when you start just being hit over the head with all these like nitpicks, you start thinking, okay, those all make sense, right? So
I think that brings up a good bridge to, we've only talked about you and a little bit about Hayden, but what I wasn't expecting at all was Leia. And
in the series
talk about
to begin with.
Performance. I really didn't know that we were going Leia route at all going into
I
this.
didn't
I
either.
Yeah, when I watch a show like this, or especially one that has so much, history or whatever, like Star Wars does, um, I don't want to know anything. Marvel movies, I want to go in knowing nothing, so I almost don't even watch trailers anymore.
Yeah,
And so to
that's
see
cool.
Leia and to see her really succeed has been really cool. And I agree. I'm a person that if a child actor is bad in a show or movie, it kind of turns me off a little bit from the overall aesthetic because I'm like, this is a kid, but she's a great actor. She's doing a great
Yeah,
job, not only acting but also
she's conveying
filling the
emotion, dude.
shoes.
Yeah, she feels like Leia. Like she literally feels like Leia. And I've never been like one who's I've never loved Leia like that. But I do think she fits into a lot of those same traits that she had. She's snarky, but like still serious. She's not Bill Burr, right? She's not just a
Right.
comedian, right? I think the girls. I don't even know what her name is, but she's doing a great job.
I think it's Vivian something,
Yeah.
but I'll look it up. But yeah,
I'll have my editor input that scene of
there you
Palpatine
go.
saying that he'll watch, her career with great interest. Psych, I don't have an editor. That's me.
Yeah,
So, okay, let's talk about episode 5.
just kidding.
Yeah, let's talk about episode 5 because it was really cool. It kind of went a couple different directions that I didn't expect it to. So I don't know. Like, what are your first thoughts with everything? Because I mean, there's a lot there's a lot of rabbit holes we could enter.
Yeah, in summary, I think it, like kind of said at the beginning, I think it was a great get back on track episode after episode 4.
Yeah,
And so it had a little bit of everything that draws you in. If you think about the stakes are a little bit more real because obviously we know Obi-Wan and Leia survive whatever's going to happen in this series, but we don't know how this affects Riva. We don't know how this affects Tala. We don't know how this affects
not even the Inquisitors.
the Inquisitors, right? So this had a little bit more at stake, I think, but also I think overall there was a good plot twist. There was
Yeah,
a good
great
there's
plot twist.
a lot more backstory brought to light, which we're now, like you said, we're past halfway. This is episode 5, so
We
we've
have
got
one
one more
more.
episode. So it's like they kind of held off on some of this stuff that having known, and I'm kind of hinting at Riva a little bit, but having known just a little bit more about Riva up to this point may have made the fan base like her a little bit more than they obviously have on the internet, which that's a whole other conversation. I think Riva's motives are before this episode have been good. I think she's been a great actress. So the hate that she's been getting is kind of insane, and obviously for other reasons. But yeah, I think that the episode was exactly what I needed to get my hopes back up for the season finale next week.
Yeah, to me, so like Star Wars is historically always like, and they just kind of wedged this into their identity. Star Wars has always like wanted to surprise viewers, right? You watch it through, and there's some sort of twist at the end, right? Usually it makes sense or it contributes to the story, and I think this does a really good job of contributing to the story. Maybe unlike the sequel trilogy twists, and that's. If you're new to the channel, if you're new to me, I like the sequels. I think my logo right now is literally Ben Solo. Anyways, so for me, I've been listening to all this like online discourse. People have been like, "Why does this happen? Why does this happen? Why does this happen?" I don't think I can excuse Vader not walking through fire. But what I can excuse now is Vader, like not destroying Riva immediately. Apparently, he knew everything what was going on, or something like that. Right? He knew something was up, and he was really using her. This episode revealed to me that everyone's using people. Obi-Wan's using Riva, Vader's using Riva, and Riva even says like, what does she say? It's like, I don't need anyone. I've gotten all this way without anyone else. And her story is sad. And her story is compelling. It makes me want to go back now because she really is a good person. I'll let you talk, but like everyone keeps saying like what I keep hearing is like, oh, she's not a good villain, and it's because she's not a villain.
And we kind of talked about this offline, but obviously there's the rule of 2, the rule that there can only be 2 Sith at a time because, I'm not some legacy book reader of Star Wars. I'm basically movies and the Clone Wars show. So I love it, but I'm not like knowledgeable like many are. But the rule of two is that there are two Sith at a time, a master and an apprentice. Now, the reason for that is because so many of these other Sith wanted to be out for each other, to kill each other, to be next in command. In Reva, just so outwardly, I guess
I thought she exemplifies that a lot, which is why I liked her initially.
Yes, and I think that's why she got a lot of hate, because people, for some reason, didn't visualize that. Like, she's just the most outwardly, like, her plans are obvious that she just wants to be Grand Inquisitor to get close to Vader.
She was like Palps, right?
Yeah, yeah. And you were kind of just saying how Obi-Wan and Darth Vader were using her. Well, she was using Obi-Wan to get her objective. So it was kind of like, this whole idea that, like, people are using each other to get closer to the person that they want to do whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was a good twist. That was something that was hinted at early on, and I personally thought that she had something, like Obi-Wan did something to her, maybe didn't protect her in a situation.
And she kind of like conveyed that at one point. She almost says like, "Where were you, Obi-Wan?" Right?
Yeah.
And it's like I wanted him to be like, I think what he was thinking about in that moment was, I was fighting Anakin, I was fighting Vader on the depths of Mustafar, right? Like, I was there.
What was that?
I tried, but
it was after that or before that.
It was before. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It was before that. But I mean, like, he was in the fight, right?
Yeah.
It's not like he wasn't there. But I'm sure that's what he feels. I'm sure that's what Obi-Wan feels. Dude, if there's one thing that I wish the show did was show, because I like that they have Obi-Wan like kind of hallucinating and having these PTSD scenes where he's
trauma,
like that trauma is very real. But what I almost wish is, and it might be that they haven't done this yet because of like budgeting, or I don't even know, and that's a stupid reason not to do something, right? What I would have liked to see is more flashbacks of Anakin and Obi-Wan talking, where like Anakin's expressing emotions of the dark side, maybe, or like, well, like, when we fought, I was like this, and that's how it made me feel, but I'm a good person, right? He has those, Anakin in the prequels has those conversations with Padme, but we never see him have those conversations with with Obi-Wan, which is really like, I mean, Padme's very important, but like, that's the brotherhood. That's what this is about. I would love to see more of that. And we saw a little glimpse of that in this episode with the flashbacks.
Yeah, and that's something that I was talking about earlier too, with the acting of trauma, like, to see the true trauma. It's very easy to look at Ewan and see the true, like, you can experience everything, even if you haven't watched the Clone Wars and just a little bit about Star Wars. I feel like you can see, like, you can feel the emotion that he's feeling of like, this is maybe one of the most important people to me in my life, and they're now my number one. They're the person that wants to kill me the most.
It's his brother. It's his best friend. It's his son.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like his son, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, I totally forgot he got burned in the flames. That was incredible. I mean, like, just like visually, like thematically, that was sick. I mean, it was a sad moment in the story. IRL, like, that's sad, but man, that's a beautiful scene in Star Wars. And so we did. I got a brother-in-law upstairs. I'm not sure if he's downstairs because I don't want to spoil anything. So I might cut this piece out.
Okay.
Nick. Okay. He hasn't watched the episode yet. All right. So, Reva versus Vader. Right? We saw that, but we didn't see Obi-Wan versus Vader. And I feel like I feel like that's coming.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. I think it's going to be what I thought this was going to be was our first live action version of seeing Vader go toe to toe with an agile, capable, force sensitive lightsaber wielder. I don't know why I just used all those adjectives, but
they're good adjectives.
Obi-Wan is not who he was, and so it's not going to be like he's doing all those flips and stuff anymore, because he doesn't. But Reva, who's actively capable of doing these things, that's what this was. I think was meant to be the kind of like, you've got Darth Vader, who almost feels very stiff. But
Yeah,
that's
he
kind
is.
Of his style.
That's his suit. Like, the suit prevents him from moving. Actually, what I'm just hearing you talk, that's an inversion of the flashbacks where Anakin was the really fast, aggressive one, where Anakin now is aged. I mean, he's still aggressive, but he's a lot more contemplative, right?
Yeah, I mean they did a good job of mirroring that practice fight. I don't even know what you would call that, and the
Yeah,
actual fight where it's like he learned from that. Obviously, they were mirroring that moment for a reason, but the fact that he just used the force, he never once pulled out his own lightsaber for that fight.
yeah,
That was
that was cool.
I'm
It's
somewhere
like
between sick. That was sick, and that was like, come on, give us his lightsaber. But I mean, when he finally took hers away, I was like, okay, here we go.
yeah. I
Is he
was
about to dual wield?
no, and that's true. No, you're right. You're right, and it's like it's kind of a callback to the sequel trilogy. We saw that with Rey and I guess is he Ben at that moment? I guess not. We saw that with Rey versus Kylo, where she's using the Force to prevent the saber. I think that kind of makes sense. It's kind of like it's like rather than like keeping up with the acrobatics, you're just kind of like putting your like a shield around you
Yeah.
almost.
Yep.
And it was weird because to me, I never really saw Vader as a Force wielder. I mean, obviously he wields the Force, but he's
Yeah.
I always saw Anakin as more of a as an acrobatic or like a he's a knight, right?
Yeah.
He's a fighter with the saber, and I think there's legends canon that say like I mean this is legends canon that like if you have a green saber that means you're more intact with the Force, where
Yep.
if you have a blue saber you're more it's like the Force manifests more physically through combat, something
Yeah.
like that, and that's kind of how that's always been my headcanon with it all.
Yeah, no, I remember those too, but I wonder how true that is. But anyways, that's the fight scene I thought was great. The moment I thought was great. The Grand Inquisitor, the actual Grand Inquisitor coming in wasn't too much of a surprise for me because the internet ruins everything.
I see that surprised me because
Did
like,
it?
well, I've watched Rebels and I'm like, okay, he has to come back, but then I just kept thinking I was like, but they could just retcon it because it's a cartoon, like they could retcon it.
No, I think they're keeping all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I hope they do. There's some amazing things, which actually, after all this, I'll tell you about my theory for episode 6, but
Okay.
because it ties into a Rebels scene, but yeah, I'm glad the Inquisitor's back, and it's like the internet was exploding about like how incompetent Vader is. Apparently, it was all a ruse. He knew it all along. He said, okay, this person wants to find Vader for whatever, or for Obi-Wan for whatever. Their own, Reva wants to find Obi-Wan. Let's just put her on a string, let her go off. Like when he's force choking her and she goes, I've planted a trap.
Yeah.
You would think Vader would be like, okay, fine, but then like kill a stormtrooper,
Yeah.
right? Or like destroy something.
Especially with how we've seen him in previous iterations of
Yeah.
Vader, but also in previous episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's snapping necks, throwing people
Yeah.
around. But now with this information, it makes a lot more sense because I feel like he was just a little bit too forgiving in
Yeah.
that moment. Like even looking back, knowing what we know now, it still kind of felt like you said, he still would be taking his anger out on someone else because that's kind of just Vader.
Yeah.
The Vader that I know at least.
His pain is all. I mean, he's got pain emotionally, but physically as well. That suit tortures him. He's ripped apart. He's got no skin. You know how it is. Like,
Yeah.
And then, dude, even watching the beginning of this episode, like I went in with like hopes, right? I was like, okay, please don't let this be bad. I'm watching it. I'm like, oh wow, Reva becomes the Grand Inquisitor. That's kind of crazy. And I'm thinking she got awarded this by saying, yes, we know the location, not yes, we have Obi-Wan. And I was
Right.
thinking, this is fine for me, but I know people will complain about this.
Yeah.
And now it's like I even know that is like, okay, well that's all part of the plan. It was literally Vader who goes, okay, I'm going to give you this so you have confidence to continue.
Yeah. That's one. If I were to pick apart one thing about this episode,
Let's do it.
We got the flashback to the youngling showdown, right? She said she played dead.
Yeah. But then they showed her getting stabbed?
That's not what I'm getting at, but we could talk about that too. Is that, don't you think someone who is force sensitive amongst other force sensitive people would be able to know if someone's alive or not? I feel like that's like a natural thing, like in Dragon Ball Z, like they can sense
Sure.
each other's power, and they're like, oh, there's somebody coming with a very strong force or sense or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, wouldn't Anakin know, like, oh, she's playing dead? I don't know.
I could see
Maybe
see
not.
two explanations. One, Anakin's just like, blinded by rage, specifically
True.
in that moment that where maybe he's just like, I did right. It's literally like blind rage, and I'm sure he's sad about it. He's still
Yeah.
doing it because it's an order. It's Order 66. But like, I'm sure he's still sad about it. That'd be the first explanation, or you could say like Reva was like so like she was like Padme. She was emotionally drained, right? So like her Force essence has petered out.
I will say, and I am new to having these types of conversations with you and just in general
I am too.
online.
Yeah.
Um, I'm very forgiving. I'm not forgiving to the point that like you said, like Vader should have walked through the fire, right?
Yeah. That
Absolutely.
was weird.
Am I gonna go online and complain about it? No, it's not that big of a deal to me. But if it ruins the plot, I mean, it kind of did ruin the plot point because that's how Obi-Wan got away in that episode.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty forgiving, not just because it's Star Wars. Like if it's a bad like the first chase scene that Leia was involved in on Alderaan, please don't ever show anything like that again. Please do not.
Would you rather a Gungan?
Would I rather a Gungan? Yeah, underwater too, please. Anyways, I'm pretty forgiving. So there are many instances where that's the case, but I forgot why I went off on that tangent. I forgot what we were even just talking about.
I think
Reva and the
yeah.
younglings. Yeah.
It was a really cool scene. I think. I mean, yeah. That was a rumor. That was a theory that I saw floating around the internet. People were talking about that. I didn't quite think that there would actually be such a shift in her behavior like that. I thought it was literally going to be like maybe that was her past, which I like, right? But maybe she's still committed to, the dark side, which I guess she is. I mean, actually, she's alive.
Yeah, I will say, again, I don't understand the hate for Reva. I will probably be getting her Funko Pop, to be honest with you. I've liked her, and I've actually had to defend her to people that are like, "Why do you like her?" I'm like,
Yeah,
what,
I do.
I don't like.
I don't think she's.
Like
I don't think she plays evil as well as I think
True.
she fits the Star Wars universe. She has this like really unique delivery, which I do like a lot. And I would say she doesn't play evil as well as some other characters like Moff Gideon or Tarkin or whatever or Palps. But that's because she's not truly evil, right? So maybe that's an explanation. But what were we talking about? I wanted to go back to the rule. All right, cut here, Liam. I honestly have never liked the Inquisitors. I think the Inquisitor. You were talking about the Rule of Two earlier, and I feel like the Inquisitors are just like I don't even think Vader likes the Inquisitors because they're like appointed. But seriously, because it's almost like Vader is. It's a threat to Vader. It's like Palpatine trying to like replace Vader in some way. It's like, and it goes against the Sith creed of the Rule of Two, right? Something I thought was really weird in this episode was the CGI of Vader's Force powers.
Oh yeah,
those were real cringe.
Are you talking about when he was fighting Reva?
When he was fighting Reva, when he was ripping apart that starship, it was like worse than a video game cutscene to me.
Did you know that moment happens in a Star Wars video game?
What, did they take it from a video game?
It's from Star Wars
Fallen Order?
Fallen Order, yeah.
They took that from Fallen Order?
Actually, an Inquisitor, I'm pretty sure, does that exact
That's crazy.
thing. Show the clip, Liam, later.
Yeah, I don't want to do any editing. Yeah.
No, but...
Yeah, editor, put this in here later. Okay, continue.
That is in there, but yeah, that's
actually more forgivable. I'm almost like, okay, well then, that explains why it's so bad.
That's true. I think it's just another, because again, in the original trilogy, we don't really get the full strength of
the Force
of Vader and its Force powers. We get kind of like the very, very stiff fighting, and so there's a reason Vader is so powerful at that point in the movies is because he's Anakin, and then he's built himself up with all this hate up to that point. So yeah, I think it's a good use the Force, and
he was like, and it just the ship takes off, and then he rips it down, and it happens within like 3 seconds. It's crazy. I think that is really a good point though, because it's like obviously the original trilogy came out, the full scope of the war wasn't really established at that point, and I think it is interesting to think, because like Vader is iconic as a character, but like what amazing great things does he really do in the movie to display his power other than just be Luke's father or something, right? So that's a cool point, because that really is the magic of a lot of this like additional Star Wars content, right, where they're like world building and adding things, trying to retcon things. I never really thought Vader was that cool, because he is stiff and he's dark and he's just like, I mean, no,
it's the Mike Myers effect of Star Wars. It's like the looming darkness. It just feels scary because
it is.
You can't see his face. He just is a faceless anti-hero.
Yeah. He's a machine. The character is perfect, but it is cool to see Vader do some cooler stuff. Like Vader's always been dope in the comics. Like I own Vader comics, even though I've never been a guy who's like, oh, I love Vader. Like, all my favorites are like either from the prequels or the sequels.
I just want to go back real quick to when Reva was killed, which I don't think that she was actually killed. I think that she's going to get some sort of vengeance, because nobody really dies in Marvel, Star Wars, or otherwise.
I think she will die eventually. I thought she would die now.
I think this is not her turn to die. I don't think that she's out. But the Grand Inquisitor showing up, I don't know anything about his race of people or anything, but Twitter tells me back in episode 2 or 1 or whenever he was killed, that he's got 2 stomachs, so there's no way he's dead, and obviously he's in.
Of course.
Yes. So that I expected that too, and that's why I said that wasn't really a twist to me that he was coming back, is because Twitter was just like, he's got 2 stomachs, so he can survive. I'm like, okay. I mean, he was still stabbed through the stomach. But
what's the name of his race?
I don't actually know what the race of people is called, so that's where my knowledge ends.
Let me know in the comments. I think, dude, I'm glad the Inquisitor's back, and that I think it. So like Reva tried to assassinate the Grand Inquisitor. It's like I think it was a little ridiculous when I was like, oh, she's gonna try to kill Vader. It's like how could she be so like where's the audacity? That's incredible. But she's done and shown that she's that cocky to do so, right? In the past, like she's literally attempted it and failed. Attempted here and failed. So I think that totally fits her character. I want to go back and watch Rebels now with the Inquisitor. I think that's really cool. And
I will say that's the series that I haven't watched. I've started it, but I haven't watched it.
It's good. Maybe we do some homework. We can review season 1, season 2, season 3. It's a really good show. I think it's better than the Clone Wars. It's small. It's smaller in scope, but it's more. It's kind of like the Mandalorian, right? It's the Mandalorian versus like the entire like trilogy, right? It's like smaller in scope, but it's more impactful, I think.
So speaking of looking ahead, I guess I don't really know exactly where that falls in the timeline. I think it's about 5 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. Rebels is, but you can correct me in the comments if you want. But I know that I did read recently that it's like right around this time period, or even before.
So this is 10 years. Kenobi takes place 10 years before, A New Hope, and I think Rebels is. You're right, like 5 or 4 years. Or maybe even 3 years right before. It takes place right before. You see Leia in it. You see like all sorts of characters.
Yep.
The dawn of the Rebel Alliance.
Yep. So I think what this last episode is going to give us, and now we know that Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, has been renewed for a second season,
that's
for
cool.
A second season. So that means we're going to get some more of this somehow. But I have the feeling I don't have a lot of expectations for the last episode. Again, similar to how I don't like to watch too many trailers or something going into something like this, I also don't like to assume what's going to happen next. I don't like to.
Sure, that makes sense.
I do like to speculate, but I don't like to over speculate. So I'll just think about it and then I'll forget about it until Wednesday.
Yeah. I mean, I this isn't my Pokemon channel, so I have not looked at any leaks or rumors or anything like that. I watch other creators who just like theorize about stuff or like give their opinions. So what the opinion that I'd like to give? Okay, this is my declaration. In episode 6 of Obi-Wan Kenobi, I predict that Obi-Wan is obviously going to fight Vader, right? That has to happen. Just like in Star Wars Rebels, Obi-Wan is going to fight Vader. He's going to slash Vader's helmet off. Not the entire thing, but just enough where you can see Anakin, Hayden Christensen's eye. It's gonna be yellow. It's gonna be whatever normal color it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You're gonna be able to hear James Earl Jones' voice or the AI voice overlapping Hayden Christensen's voice. They're gonna be delivering the same exact dialogue. You're gonna feel that pain in Hayden. I think it's gonna be really touching. And Vader, Obi-Wan is for the first time literally gonna see Anakin and what he looks like after he's become more machine than man. That's what I think is going to happen.
That's a pretty good, I guess, hope or assumption to make. I think that would be truly impactful because, Obi-Wan sees him as, well, he feels him as his brother's son, that whole thing.
Yeah.
But he sees them as this robot.
That's the famous line, right? More machine than man.
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to just spoil. Yeah, I loved you, Anakin. So that happens in Rebels at some point. Vader gets his helmet chopped. I won't tell you who did it, who the fight was. I realized in that moment I was kind of spoiling it for you.
You know what? Darth Vader's still alive. So
no, yeah, of course, yeah.
That's the thing with stakes in any of these shows that are happening before
for sure
whatever movie came out after. My speculation on what's going to happen next is a lot less emotional and a little bit more pessimistic, I think, about what's to come. I'm going to say this, and I hope that it doesn't happen. But I have a feeling that Ahsoka is going to show up in some way, shape, or form. And while that would be a great fan service, and Ahsoka is one of my favorite characters in the series, and I think many people would agree, I just feel like this isn't the time or place, even though it's the perfect time and place, because
it's the Luke Skywalker moment.
She grew up. I mean, she became who she is because
she's Anakin's daughter. Dude, the way I see it is she's literally the only daughter Anakin has known, right?
Yeah.
He never knew his real kids.
That's why I think that it'll happen, and I think that it will be perfect, but also it will feel like too much of a fan service moment at the same time. But with her show coming out, obviously self-titled Ahsoka, and with the connection that she has with specifically the two main characters of this show, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin, I have a feeling that she's going to show up, because obviously we're going back to, or Obi-Wan's going back to Tatooine, and Vader's going to have to follow in some way, shape, or form. But maybe not, because in A New Hope, he's still living there in his cave. Yeah. So I don't know. I honestly have no idea where this is heading, or where a fight like that could happen. Maybe in space on a ship. I don't know, but I have this feeling that Ahsoka's going to show up.
Dude, I love that theory. I really like that. And it's like already happened in live action, so it's not even like that far-fetched. And she's even got a show coming out soon. So I think that would be totally cool. It would feel kind of far-fetched because it'd be the first. Actually, no, she does know Obi-Wan, dude. That's crazy.
That's what I mean, is like it would feel like a fan service.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it also kind of makes sense if she knows the whereabouts of Vader and Obi-Wan, unless she's too tangled up in the Darth Maul stuff happening right now. So that's the only way that I would think that she wouldn't be.
Yeah.
Or the only reason that they would use that she wouldn't be there. But I feel like it's too good of a reason not to have her show up in the show, to then another reason to promote her show Ahsoka.
That is awesome. I do think it actually would distract, though. I think it would distract. I think what needs to happen, and I don't know how long the 6th episode is going to be, but like they need to just like meet up at some point, or maybe dude, is Vader going to fight Obi-Wan?
Season 2.
Yeah, right. Is Vader going to fight Obi-Wan on? No, okay. This is the real production. Vader and Obi-Wan are fighting, right? Somewhere on a ship, on a planet, wherever. He finally lets go of Leia. Leia's being saved, or maybe she's already saved. I don't know. And it's the same thing where Obi-Wan's always the target of the Empire, and he needs to flee to save everyone else. In this moment, he has a chance to kill Vader, and he goes, and he leaves him again. He leaves him to suffer, but he leaves him because he finds out Reva knows where Luke is, because that's the thing at the end. Right? He goes, I'm going to go back to Tatooine. He goes, I'm going to go back to Tatooine. And that's where Luke is. So Obi-Wan needs to flee and again leave Vader to die or whatever, not to die, but same. There's a correlation there in order to kill Reva. That's what I think is gonna happen. That's what,
I'm sorry that I interrupted that.
No, it's good. It's good.
Because now it made me think. Now I'm thinking about what's going to happen in the next episode, whereas I wasn't. So
I thought you weren't the theory guy.
So, well, I do like to theorize, but I try not to over speculate because then it becomes this thing of like expectation. Yeah. That's not what I like to do.
No, that's my MO here at the channel.
I think that you're onto something in that I think that if that were to happen, I was wondering while you were saying it, why do you think Reva would go get Luke? Well, would it be to kill Luke to make Vader suffer even more? Would that be her motive? Because otherwise, why would she?
Would she know that? I was thinking, well, Vader doesn't know this at the time. Like in this time period, Vader does not know about Luke, right?
Right. He
but
doesn't
Reva
know yet, but
would Reva? I don't know.
That's what I mean. Like maybe Reva would go to kill Luke to somehow like let him know. I don't know if this is too like convoluted, but like she would kill or hold Luke hostage and say, "This is your son," because I think. Bail Organa does kind of say that in that.
Yeah, he goes like the boy. We need to protect the boy or something.
Yeah.
Like I think.
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like Reva was betrayed by Obi-Wan in this episode. So I don't know. Yeah, maybe she would want to kill Vader, but maybe she's just like, I do want to get back at Obi-Wan. Or okay.
I don't know if Reva's going to be involved. If I'm being completely honest.
Well, why would they set her up? Why would they set her up at the end and say, like, she saw the message. She got the call to go to Tatooine to either protect. So I think you're saying, I don't think anyone's going to come in contact with Luke. Otherwise, Luke, that would be, like, traumatic, and Luke would mention that at some point in the story.
Right.
But I do think you got to watch Rebels. There's a lot of stuff that happens on Tatooine.
I do know that.
anyways, and I think what could happen is she feels betrayed by Obi-Wan in this moment. Maybe she goes, you know what? I tried to kill Vader. It didn't work, and I didn't listen to Obi-Wan, and I kept saying, why should I trust you? This is what's going to happen at the end of Episode 6. Reva is going to turn good, and she's going to join Obi-Wan. She's going to go to Tatooine, because she knows that's where Obi-Wan is, and she's going to become good. And she's going to be the freaking sidekick in Season 2. And it's going to be so corny. That's what's going to happen. Predicting it.
Ooh. All right.
That was 5 predictions.
Let me see if you can cut any one of them out that you
I think I'm gonna include them all.
Okay. I think I'm not gonna speculate anymore. I do think one more speculation.
Oh.
Qui-Gon Jinn has to show back up as the Force Ghost. Because
dude, I forgot
that for a couple of episodes and he keeps saying, he keeps calling out to him and he's not responding. So he's got to answer his voicemail at some point. He's got to call back. That's definitely the last episode's 40 minutes. By the way, I just looked it up.
This episode was 30 or something.
I want to say it was maybe even longer. I feel like I looked at it at like 30 minutes and there were still 20 left. So, maybe it's about the same. Anyways, I feel like Qui-Gon Jinn has to show up at some point because now not only has Liam Neeson showed interest online or in an interview of like kind of reliving that character, and he has voiced him in Clone Wars, and I think maybe Rebels. I don't know. I don't watch that one, but Samuel L. Jackson has also shown interest at redoing Nick Fury or Mace Windu at some point. So
that's a whole episode in itself, dude. When Sam Jackson comes back to the Star Wars universe, and they let him be like he is in the Quentin Tarantino movies, it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be so good, dude. It's gonna be so good.
Oh yeah.
He's just screaming. That's what I want to see. Like, because Sam Jackson has so much like charisma, and he's so boisterous, and right, like that's the appeal of him. You give us a Mace Windu that's like that, just like is free from the Jedi Order, and he's just like this wise old man now, right? Yeah. He's got like a cyborg arm.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
he
doesn't have an eye. Yeah.
There was a small part of me, this big part of me, that thought as Reva was about to reveal her backstory, that she was going to say she was Mace Windu's daughter.
Ah, dude, that's so cringe.
There was a very small part of me, and I was like, I was kind of cringing. I was like, please don't be.
There's so many characters. I like that she was,
Yes, exactly. Her own thing.
The relation to the prequels. That's cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's leave it on that. I'm so glad that current Disney is now like giving homage and paying tribute to the prequel trilogy. I would not mind in a couple years a remastered version of Kenobi season 1, episode 5, where they look younger. That'd be nice. Would love to get the Blu-ray edition or whatever, George
The
Lucas
1998 remake.
yeah. But dude, thank you so much for joining me. This is the very first episode of, I don't even know what the channel is called. It's going to be Dusty Knight or Dusty Jedi or Dusty Darkside. Or thanks for following us, guys. Hit the subscribe button for more episodes. Let me know what you think in the comments. And you got any last words?
May the Force be with you.
Yeah, what's my outro going to be? May the Force be with you always. Or how about, I'll play So Uncivilized. I love that line.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew.
Say something like that. Say like,
your focus determines your reality.
Yeah, some quote, or stay uncivilized.
Yeah,
next
dude. Yeah. Yo, okay. Thank you so much for watching, and stay uncivilized.